Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Headlocks and Handoffs, the Handoff Edition, Episode 12. I'm
We're coming
Anthony,
to you.
and where are
Sorry,
we coming from?
we're coming to you on a nice Wednesday night. The date is March 10th, and we hope you enjoy your listening pleasures on this warm, soon-to-be spring night.
So, we decided to tone it down a little bit tonight, really set the mood,
Or a
um,
lot
almost like cool jazz radio,
smooth
smooth
jazz.
jazz. But we're not going to
Jazz,
talk like that
jazz.
the whole time.
No, because I'm already bored of it.
No, but we wanted to welcome you everyone back. Episode 12, handoff edition of Headlocks and Handoffs, like we mentioned before. Um, we're going to do a little something different tonight as we continue our quest to become the top podcast slash YouTube channel in the world, which we're
You mean on Wednesday nights?
on Wednesday nights or Thursdays or Tuesdays or Saturdays, whenever we decide to record it. But we're going to be number one eventually. We might be gray by that point, but we'll get there.
Probably very gray.
Right.
But yeah, we'll get there.
We're no Edge and Christian, but
Hmm.
we're close.
They got some grays. They got like that.
If I can
the
grow
chiseled-
it better, I could probably do that. By the way, before we start, I wanted to mention to you, I'm working on growing a bigger beard in a way.
Can you
I know, it sounds
describe-
weird. It sounds weird. So I found this stuff
Just
online.
wait. Just repeat what you said again.
I
Just
want to
so can
grow
really
a better
let that sink
beard.
in a way. You've
In a
got that.
Well, that's the trick. So I'm going to get this stuff where it's like vitamins for your face, and it's going to help me grow with the blotches here so I don't look like an idiot when I grow my face hair out.
My face here.
Listen, some of us have this handicap of growing facial hair. Not all of us were born with facial hair like you were.
Well, I'm sorry, but I just wanted to go back. That's like the biggest diss. I'm getting vitamins for my face. It's like, what?
Listen,
Just the way you said it.
I've waited 37 years for this moment. I need to have an adult face one day.
No, keep that baby skin.
Oh, it's not baby skin. If I had this skin when I was a baby, we probably have issues. A lot of dry skin here. Anyway, back to what we were doing. So tonight, since we're doing our running portion of our podcast, I think that we should be doing a nice interview process. So usually we would want to bring someone else and we would interview or do some sort of trivia, but I want to interview you. And the reason why I want to, you right there.
Me?
You.
I thought you were talking to someone else that's
You.
not in here yet. You're interviewing me.
Not yet. No, it's you. It's you. You're the surprise.
Oh, well, I'm surprised. Golly
Yeah.
gee.
This wasn't planned whatsoever. But I want to interview you for a couple of reasons. One, you've had such a stellar running career in every level that you've competed on. You have a successful coaching career going as we speak now, and just good work ethic. So I think that you are the perfect person for me to ask all these questions. And, if people watch this and people listen to, what we're talking about, will take something out of it, because I think you have a lot to offer. You have, like I said, a success on different levels and different aspects of your life from the last, 20 years or so more. So I want to bring that out, and I want to see, what you got.
All right,
hit
let's
you with
do
the
it.
hard questions.
Oh, man.
Once
I'm not ready for this. What do you think of
So when you were in ninth grade, what size shoe were you?
11. I got it. I did
Good
it.
answer.
Okay.
All right, let me write that down. Hold on. Okay, size
So I
11.
think
I'm
I've
gonna circle back to that question probably later.
That's going to be big. So quick story on the shoe size. I think I've been size 11 for a very long time. And my guy Ramon, who you got to meet.
Not Razor Ramon for everybody. This is a different Ramon.
No, this is just the other Ramon.
This is non-wrestling Ramon, although he did like wrestling.
He does like wrestling. So this is perfect for the handoff version, because he is a really good runner and still training and still doing it. And in college, he got a size like 14 shoe. And the coach like, that's a crazy big foot. Like, why so big? Like, what's going on here? And he's like, yeah, like my foot, it grows a size each year, right? Like I was a
Like he was
size
being
10.
serious?
Yeah, being serious. He's like, I was size 10 a couple of years ago, so I should be size 14 by now. And they measured him. They're like, no, dude, you're still like 10. You're still a 10. You didn't gain 4 sizes on your foot. And he was being serious, but like the logic behind it was pretty awesome. He's like, no, like I got taller, my foot grew. I'm now like a size 14. We're like, no, that's not how it works. But he
If
is
it
awesome.
works like
So
that, it's for very rare people.
yeah, big growth spurt. But
That's
he's an
amazing. I
awesome
thought you were
dude,
gonna
though. Yeah,
really tell me he was a size 14. I'm like, that doesn't
no.
match. You call him Bigfoot on the team?
Yeah, Bigfoot Ramon. That was
Or
the nickname.
Fake foot?
Nice.
I'm glad that took a turn to that story.
Yeah, you're welcome. Because
Well,
that first question was pretty weak.
well, I'm sorry. I mean, I could ask you questions about Providence if you want.
No. That's too much.
No?
Start with the easier ones. Maybe
All
we'll
right.
get
So
there tonight.
if we have time, we'll circle around to Providence and we'll talk about that.
And how I wore my size 11 up there.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, you wear your size 11 everywhere.
Yeah, but it was
But
definitely.
that was a more
Providence, too.
important place to wear it, though.
Yes, of course.
Right.
Of course.
Anyway, so early on in your career, first tell me when you actually like got interested, where you really like kind of fell in love with it, like fell in love with running.
That's a good question. I
Oh, did
feel
I hit you with a
like
hard question already?
you did. Yeah, you did. I mean, I feel like I would say as a freshman, but I kind of feel too like I was. So, okay, my first running season was spring track, and I had some really good success early on without really knowing how to train. And so back then, like some days, like, you run a really good workout, and other days, like, you're kind of screwing around and not really doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Of
So as a
course.
freshman, I didn't know any better. And, you follow the older guys around, and it's like, okay, well, these guys are going to play tag at this park for half an hour. Guess that's what we're doing today. That's like part of what we're doing. Okay. Like all that stupid stuff. And I think there's still districts or programs that do it now. It
We used to
happens.
play Kill the Carrier. Didn't have to explain when we got back in, like why we were all so beat up.
There were days where we just go to someone's house and just like watch TV or play video games. But here's the funny part. Even as like a freshman, after like a few times of doing it, it was kind of like, why are we doing this? Like, what's the point of this? Because like, you're going to go out and race and you're out there racing on your own. It's not like, you could pass the ball to someone or someone else can help you out. You're out there on your own and you're
It's probably
struggling
like
on your
if
own.
you do something, like if you decide, no, I'm gonna go run today, they're gonna look at you like, yo, what are you doing? Why? Well, that's not what we do here.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. Like, hey, why don't we just go do the run? Like, no, we're going to this guy's house. He knows we're coming. We're just gonna go there. And like being brand new, like you don't really question that. You don't say much. It's kind of strange, but it's like, well, I guess this is what they do. It's probably not great, but
I mean,
you know,
that's
you
just like leadership. Like there's the leadership thing, and then it's like, was your team like good overall? Like, were they not? Were they like?
no, we had a pretty good sprint crew my freshman year. I think the year before the guys went to Penn Relays, they ran the 4x1, the 4x4, and I know like a lot of teams go for that, but they were relatively like respectable.
Right.
My brother was on the 4x1 with them actually, and I remember he got like a medal after running. I think in 8th grade he moved up to varsity. He was able to go there and run, and he was on like the 4x1 team and got a medal either for placing in their heat or
At Penn
running
Relays?
festival. Yeah, it might have been top 3 in each heat got medals. This is
Wait, do you have a Penn Relays medal?
no.
And your brother has a Penn Relays medal.
Are we gonna end this right now?
Oh, I'm just like, listen, my mind's blown.
Yeah, he does, but it's for a relay. So I mean, come on now.
That's true.
Yeah.
He should only get a quarter of that medal anyway. It doesn't matter.
That would be cool. The relay medals get broken up into 4 pieces. That'd
Good
be
for him
cool.
though. That's good.
Yeah. So like I said, as a freshman, the older students are kind of doing these things, and you just kind of go along with it because that's all you know, and you don't really know any better.
No.
But little by little, some of those guys either quit or just got kicked off or stopped showing up. So it was kind of now like, okay, I think I should be running. I want to run and actually get better and put some extra time into this and
Right.
see what happens. Because, like I
Well, it
said,
only
you're
takes one. It takes when a program wants to be successful and it
yes,
has that one person that'll like you obviously as a coach you want to cut the fat, so to say. You know, you want to make sure you don't want any of that to trickle down because
yeah,
most of the time that'll trickle down and no one else knows. Like if it wasn't you, it was probably someone else that'll just kind of go along with it and may have that thought in their head where they're like, well, I'm just going to continue to do this because this is what we've always done. But it only takes that one person to kind of set the tone a little bit. And I'm sure
that
after that, it kind of turned the program around a little bit by kind of getting rid of the ones that were like the disease, if you will, of the team.
yes. And that's the funny part too, because let's just say if there's 10 guys on like the distance group, if
Right.
there's one strong person to either say, hey, we're going to Anthony's house to play video games and eat Oreos, the rest of the
Right.
nine will follow. If there's one strong enough to say, no, we have a 5 mile run today, the rest of the nine will follow.
Right.
You know, like it's everyone's basically going to go with the whole group.
Right.
So that was like a few times early on in my freshman year, but I still remember, and this is why like it's hard for me to say as a freshman I fell in love with it because the day before the division meet, we still were screwing around. I think someone dropped us off at a park that was like 2.5 miles away. We
Right.
played tag for whatever 15, 20 minutes and then ran back. So like this is the day before the division meet, still kind of screwing around.
Right.
Like I knew I should be running, but in my mind, I was probably thinking, okay, well, we're still running around.
Right.
We're doing something. It's not like, oh, we're just going to sit and play video games.
Honestly,
No,
there's a time and a
yeah.
place to do stuff like that. And it's like for example, like when I was coaching in Mepham, uh, I made a, you know, the girls, I think my last season, my second to last season there, the girls had a really good spring season, like a very good run at that spring season that year. And every time we would win a league meet, we would earn a day off the next day. We can go play games, we can run around, we could do relay race, we could do obstacles, you could just have fun with it. Like it was encouraging that you could be rewarded if you're doing well. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, obviously things can work in that type of favor where you can still have fun, but at least you're not out playing football, sitting
Yes.
in someone's house, playing video games, shooting hoops. Like obviously there's a time and a place for that. Not saying that maybe what I did probably wasn't, it was just it worked. You know, certain things work at times, and it's still kind of a motivating thing to kind of, well, you work hard, you keep working hard, and when we're doing well, let's keep going. Let's keep doing this. And but in that situation, I've been in that situation too, where it's like I'm a young kid. Do I can't defy these guys who have been on the team for a while. I mean,
hmm
it's hard. It's hard to just kind of step up like that. But it seems like, you figured that out early.
Because like we were saying before, like I feel like I've always had a really good work ethic, and knowing like what I'm supposed to be doing and then what I'm actually doing would kind of like eat away. And it's
Right.
like I should really be out there running. I should be out doing this instead of doing this. And it's funny, like going back to it with having just one person to kind of like sway everyone one way. I
Yeah.
think it's either like you have a senior or someone older, or just someone that's kind of has put down times that's kind of like, hey, we respect him because he's fast.
Right.
You know, like that's kind of
You
how it
earn
is
that
though.
respect from them.
Yes.
But
Where
like,
it's,
right.
hey,
But there's
if
that
the
fine line.
yes, if the fast guy says to do this, yeah, we're all going to do it. Why? Well, he gets results. He's one of the best guys around, so we're going to listen to what he says or what he does. And it's, it all just goes like that. And then from there, like what you were also saying, and I've even said to the kids that I coach, once you get a few good kids on a team and the team gets some team honors, other kids start coming out
Yep.
because they just hear, oh, the track team won this, they won this. Let me try it out. Never thought about doing track, or hey, I sit on the bench in baseball for half a season. Let me try track. Once they hear that name on the morning announcements or in the newspaper, it just gets attention and people want to be part of it.
Right. Especially when you're with the same people year round. It's not like you're playing football or playing, lacrosse or tennis. Like you're only with these people for a season, maybe two, depending on what you're doing. But, you're with the same people year round. And I'm not even just fall, winter, spring. Like you're with them all summer. Like I don't think, besides a couple of my friends I had in high school, I had just track friends because I saw them every day. We spent
That's how it
hours
is.
together on the weekends, always training together. it becomes like a family atmosphere. And I'm not saying that you don't get that from other sports. It's just different when it comes to that. And I think that's why people are kind of scared that they think track is their own entity, which in a way it is, because we spend way more time together, and
Yeah,
and if you're doing one, you're usually either doing 2 out of the 3
definitely.
or 3 out of the 3 most of the
Yeah.
time,
Very
but
few just do one.
but I think because, like you said before, your work ethic and the way you were when you were young, and in watching kids that we coach now, um, if you have that work ethic, and like you said, it only takes a few kids, like that's what makes good programs, and that's what brings them up. But in a way, also, um, with our work ethic, or especially yours, you are able to succeed and really take off as a coach as well, because it's that same mindset. You have that experience. The ins and outs. Kids can't get away with the same stuff that we got away with then, because
Because
we
we know
did
what we
that.
did.
We were
Yeah.
part of that. So we
Yeah.
know we're not dumb. But
Hmm.
there are coaches, and I've seen, and I'm sure you know too, there are coaches that have come from a culture of goofing off and not putting in the work, and then become coaches, and then just they're lazy coaches.
Hmm.
And I've seen
Because
quite a bit of that, and that just
and
shows.
yeah, some of that is just because that's all that they know.
Right.
They did that as a athlete, so
Mhm.
yeah, that's how a track program is
Right.
ran. Which,
And that's
listen, it might work, or your teams and programs hates like this. It might be a joke where kids, show up whenever, or they, don't do all the events, or just all different things like that that can go wrong. But a lot of it depends on what you want. Do you want your
I think.
program to be, yeah, like a hardworking program, or hey, we're
Yep.
going to be a more lackadaisical? And I think a lot of that has to do with the numbers on a team also.
Good
If you
word,
have
by the way.
what numbers? Thank you.
Yep, that was it. Yep.
If you have 200 kids on a team, you probably can be a lot more stricter. And hey, kids aren't
Yeah.
showing up. You're not here. I only have 100 uniforms. I can't have 200 kids on the team.
But you're doing
So
something right then. You have
definitely,
those numbers, you're doing something right. Not saying if you don't. Listen, I have a very tiny team, but
yeah.
for
You
some reason, even with our small numbers, we're still able to do well. But just like you said, it just takes a couple kids, and then every kid starts to believe in themselves, and that's when you start to see that progress. I mean, that's the big thing. It's having them they have to buy into what the
Yep,
program is, the culture, and you have to be able to be okay with that. But if you're not, you're not. But if you're here, you're here to work. You're not here to goof off. And
agreed.
but
And
we help that, I think.
yes, and I think you hit on a really good point about the buy-in, because because we do 3 seasons a year, we kind of have, like I said, a lot of the same kids, and some kids will buy in right away, they get results right away.
Yep.
Some don't, and they kind of go through each season going through the motions,
Mhm.
where it's like, listen, like if you just learn to do this one thing, you'll take off. If you want to be better, if you want to do this work, you will be much better. But it's either just want to just do the bare minimum.
Right.
I'm kind of here, but don't really want to do too much more.
Right.
And
No,
it's up,
yeah.
like
No, I
that's up
agree.
to the athlete. Yeah.
That's good.
So,
It's a good,
but
solid couple of answers from you. I like
thank
it.
you. It's
Like
it's all
it.
about the buy-in.
Yeah.
And I know we've had this conversation so many times. When there's a kid that's really good, is it because of the athlete or because of the coach? And I think we've even said on here, the Baldwin coach, he said it best, where he's like, it's a buy-in, where the kid has to believe whatever you're saying, and whatever you're saying has to help out in some way to make the kid run faster or do
Right.
something better.
You
And
have
if
to
it's
you have to show, you have to let them know why. Like,
yes,
and I'm always, and like I say, I'm always a big believer in having your athletes ask you the questions. Like, that's when like they want to be a part of it. They want to get better. Well, why is this helping me? Well, this is why.
mm-hmm,
This is what's going to happen. And if you trust me, and I had this conversation with 2 of my girls within the last couple of days, and a parent, but like their careers are in our hands, and we just have to figure out how we're going to help them, because everyone's different. It's not always going to be
mm-hmm,
the same thing. And you're right. If a kid comes in and they have all this talent in the world and ability, you can only go so far. You have to. It's just different. But I agree. It's you have to gain the trust, and you have to, like, I'm sure you believed in your high school coaches.
of course, hundred
I had
percent.
to too. Like, we both have gone through a couple of high school coaches over those years, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's hard to go from one to the other and having to have one philosophy, then the next one, and the next one. At least with us, we're locked in. You know,
Yes.
you've been locked in. You're on your second school, but you've been locked into this school for a
Long
while.
time.
You know,
Yeah. But it's funny to believe in high school coaches because I still remember my junior year. We said it here before. My junior year was my worst running year, and I remember going in and see my coach like before school started and like super frustrated, and kind of questioning her, not like in a disrespectful way, but just like why am I not running faster? Like what is going on? Like not even like what are you doing wrong here, but like what's going on? So like I'm thinking back when I didn't have as much faith, that's when I was running the worst. And they do go hand in hand because I had so much faith in my coach, but the results weren't showing. Well, what's going on? What's wrong? Is she not giving me the right workout? Am I not performing? So it's, you know, it's a big mix of both.
well,
And then
that's the
when things,
patience of a distance runner.
yes,
That's the patience, especially as a distance runner, is that you want it now, and you saw progress your first few years there. You're like, well, I should still be seeing. I should always see progress.
yep,
That's how it should be. But we're all not going to be consistent with that. We're going to have, if not down years, a down season, or
yeah,
something that you're not. Even if it's not a down season in a way, it's just something that you weren't happy with. But that's just the
correct.
distance runner mentality. You're very, and I had this talk with my boys cross country team the other day, and they just need to, you just have to have the patience and believe that, and then it'll come. Because once that negativity settles in your head, then you're pretty much just shooting yourself in the foot.
Yep.
You're like, well, if I don't have a big breakout race right now, I'm gonna go crazy. That's not how it is.
Mm-hmm.
You got to make those baby steps.
No, that's true. And I think that's always the biggest part. We basically look for usually in a regular season, the end of the season to have that breakout performance or to be right around our best because
Right.
we have all those months of training, all the weeks leading up to it. With the mental part of knowing, hey, this is the big event, the big race. This is where I'm putting everything out there. This is when everything comes together. I'm making sure I'm doing everything right to be there. And then I've had kids in the past, right before the county meet, half the kids got hurt or did something over the weekend where they couldn't run. And it's unfortunate. It's like, okay, well, it's not like it's a waste of a season, but it's tough because this was the culminating event. I always compare it to a final where you'll be in the class, whatever science class, all year, and then you just don't show up for the final. That's what it's like. You have all this work, and then there's nothing to show for it. So
See too much of that lately.
Yeah.
Way too much of that.
mhm.
But good stuff. Let me kind of dive in a couple more questions here because I think I've only asked you two, and
We've just been talking.
us being us, we just kind of go off and just start talking and talking and talking, which is, this is what this is all about. So if I get
Definitely.
3 questions and we're talking for an hour, that's good. I mean, that's, I don't have to ask as many, but try to cover as much ground as we can for this. So,
Okay.
Favorite event? I think that's a big question and a really cool question to ask in terms of a track athlete or a cross country athlete, is that you're running so many different kinds of events. And as a distance runner, as you know, you can drop down to any distance
Yeah.
when needed. And I just want to know, out of all the events you've done, every single one you've done, what was your favorite one that you really enjoyed the most?
So it's crazy because I feel like it's more of like an age-based question. So in high school, 2 mile was my favorite by far.
Right.
That's where I got, and of course, that's where I got like my first amount of success. So it has like a strong feeling with me. I went to states and won it for the steeple, but I still feel like I never had the good form for the steeple. I think I ran it well because I was a very tough athlete and was physically strong enough to get over the barriers.
I remember that race. You lapped me, so I remember. You look great out there.
Thanks.
You and Floyd Main, you both look great as I was struggling to get over these damn barriers.
Crazy.
Damn Clark kid beat me.
Oh, that's bad. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know which one he was.
I don't even remember who it was. All
You
I
totally
remember, I was
do.
trying
You
to
have nightmares
down,
of him.
Josh Parsons. I was trying to chase down.
Yep, Limbrook. So I think, like I said, in high school, it was like the 2 mile or steeple. I would probably go with the 2 mile though. In college, once again, I had the most success with steeple. But when I ran the 3K indoors, that to me was such a fun race because it was like almost short, but not like it's not a full-on sprint. You know, like it was enough to really
Isn't
get
that
going.
weird that you would
Oh, it
call
was
a
so bizarre.
3K like as a distance runner, you're like 3,200 just is such a rough race indoors, but
Yeah.
3K, I'm all
Hell
over it.
yeah.
I'm all over it.
Yeah.
It's a lap shorter than what I usually do.
On an indoor track. But I think that's what it is. You get into college and you have like that older mindset and mentality, and just you're so much stronger. Where like, hey, 2 miles or not even 2 miles. Yeah, this is easy, no problem. Okay, yeah, we're good. Let's do it.
It's just 3 by 1,000. It's not a big deal.
Wow, that's it. Yeah, okay. But in that kind of way, and I just feel like I got to run really well with it at the end of my career. So like the 3K was definitely that 2 mile area, 2 mile or 3K. And then in college and then even post college, I think 5K was the most like the most raced distance that I did.
Mhm.
You know, I think we did so many 5Ks at sometimes probably 2 or even 3 like a month. So we just got really used to it. I know. So I think in a way like the 5K, it was a really strong it was like it's tough to say. It was a good it's all right. I'm trying to figure out how to say this here. It was a hard thing to race, but always very manageable and like a true test. And I think because we raced the 5K so much, it kind of would then go to what kind of course it was. Like Oyster Bay or the Oyster Fest, the course that I had when we were running there, not Eisenhower Park, but Oyster Fest. That was a very difficult course. And that became more of the challenge. Where it's like the 5K distance, yeah, that's almost getting like the 3K.
Right.
It's easily you can run it. It's not really the issue of the distance, but now it's how well can you run on this specific course. So even and then being on the track, racing at Penn Relays, I think 3 or 4 times in the 5K. That was kind of like the distance, you know,
Right.
in the same way, obviously longer than a 3K, but enough to really be able to run it hard, to train for it, and you know, run it well.
Okay.
I will say also, I ran a few 10Ks, half marathons, marathons. From the 10K above, I never got comfortable with that distance. That to me just seemed long. I feel the times I ran for even all three of those races don't really compare to what I was doing 5Ks and less, where I just could never really fully grasp on, hey, I'm going to run hard for, 32 minutes for a 10K. I could never really push that hard for that long, but a 5K was like a good distance, a good time frame. Same thing with a 3K.
That's funny you say that. Like I feel like that I would prefer the longer the better. Obviously not marathon wise, but like after the 5K, I feel like I was a lot different doing stuff like that I can hold it for a little while. But back to what I asked you. So what was your favorite race?
Race distance.
Yeah.
We're gonna do 3K.
Okay.
Whoa.
That's what I thought. No, that's
know.
kind of what I thought because you talk so highly about it.
I do. That's like
that's a good. I think that's a good, solid, in between answer for everything. Like I think that's what I kind of figured you were kind of leaning toward.
And it's funny how you were saying as a distance runner, you could always drop down to like whatever race or whatever event.
Yeah.
And I would say like as a senior, I was on like some 4x4s or running 400-meter legs on relays. And it was just like, this is legit almost like an all-out sprint. Like I'm serious because as a distance runner and as a 2-miler, the quarter mile is so short. Yeah, I'm not running 45s or 50s, but like I'm running hard the entire time, almost like top speed the whole quarter. Because it's not that it's the distance that's going to get you, it's the speed. I don't have that top speed for it, but I could hold up a pretty fast speed the whole time. And, I remember passing guys on that last straightaway because that's when they always tie up and that's when it was the worst part for them.
Right.
And it was just like, no, I'm just still going the same pace. I'm not really getting tired here. Mm-hmm.
That's good. All right. So that's that. I like that. I mean, that's a distance that you can, as
easily
any
manage.
distance runner can really manage. It's
yeah.
I like that's a good answer. I like that.
And I will say too, even at that 3K distance, that is the only distance that I had an international race with up in Canada.
Right.
Yeah, and which was a complete disaster, by the way.
Well, I remember. I wasn't there, but I do remember.
It was. I don't remember what it was. I mean, I think maybe because we flew up that day, ran at like 7:00 at night. I just remember my legs being so tight, and I want to say that year, let's say we're in 8:30, like that, like winter season at the Armory. We went up there, and I think I ran like 9 minutes, or didn't even break 9. And this is with Alex, and he was talking of it very highly to like the meet organizer. And he's like, "Oh yeah, this guy runs 8:30. He's ran 8:20 before. He's gonna run fast. He's gonna be in with all these guys. It's gonna be great." And it was just like, no, like dead last kind of thing. And it was like, wow, that sucked. That was just like a waste of a day. Wow.
Yeah, but you use it as a learning experience. Any of these situations, you use as a
Yeah.
learning experience in some way, shape, or form.
No, you're right.
But
Because you even think, hey, we probably shouldn't travel the same day.
yeah, probably not. You should
That's
probably
part
get
of
like
it.
a full night's rest and a good stretch, and not get off the plane and be like, oh, guess what? You're running 3K right now. What?
Yeah.
Okay. But
Because I think if we weren't in Canada, I think we were in Canada for 20 hours. That was like legit what it was.
who
Because
planned that crazy trip?
I don't know, some wackadoo guy. We probably left at like 3 o'clock and came home. We were probably home at like noon the next day.
That is absurd.
Yeah.
How can anyone run in conditions like that?
Oh,
Well, nonetheless, like you can't, like, running is one thing, but performing is another.
no, you're right. But like you said,
That's
it's a
wild.
learning experience. It's,
Yeah.
hey, spend a few extra $100 for the hotel the night before. Let's make sure we do it right.
Yeah.
You know?
If you have to, then you have to. If you want to get the
Yeah.
race you want, then you do what you need to do.
No, that's true. I know.
So moving on, another brain busting question.
Good use.
Brain
Brain buster.
So I'm gonna kind of ask you something more as on a coaching perspective.
Okay.
Obviously, we both fancy ourselves distance coaches. You know, that's what we came up as. That's what we started to do when we started the coaching I want to say early in our careers. So weird to say all this time around, because we're both, what did we say, 15, 16 years in?
Yeah. Probably I started in 05.
I started in 06.
So I started 05, but took off a year. But so we basically have like the same amount of years.
So 15, we're both 15 years in.
Yeah.
Which is really weird to think of when we go back to these meets way back in the day, and we're like, and then, we're being talked to as like the next generation of coaches that are going to be like here for a long time. And 15 years later, here we are.
Yeah.
And we're approaching the old guys.
But it's, I still look at us like, maybe just me, but still like on the younger to middle part. Like there's guys much older than us that have been
of course,
35 years. And like they don't even look old either. It's just they started early in their years and just kept on going.
Yeah.
And then, there's always a new crop of, 10 new coaches each year that don't even stick around. But
we were pretty much kids when we started coaching, which was so bizarre to think about.
Right out of college, basically.
Yeah. I remember being in grad school, and I was and like getting like a position there. I'm like, this is weird. You seniors only a few years younger than me, and I'm telling you what to do. It's so bizarre.
Well, at Valley Stream South, it was 7th through 12th grade.
Right.
I was coaching almost a former teammate.
That's weird.
Yeah. So we had all the lockers like together, like for changing for gym or, for after school. I was changing for track. He was changing for like junior high football. And like we would have conversations like, like getting ready for practice, whatever. And now I come back 4 years later to coach him as a senior in high school. And it was like, dude, we shared a locker together. Like you were like 2 lockers down. That's crazy. Wow. It's bizarre, but that's how it was.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, geez. I know. I don't even want to think about it yet. We're right. We're in the middle category. We're halfway there.
I think when we get to be 20 years in, then it's like, okay, we're at the old man category now.
Yeah. We'll celebrate 20 years when we get to it.
Okay.
So as a coach, kind of changing perspectives here, obviously being a former athlete, like I said, being a distance runner in high school and college, post-collegiate, and now doing that and passing along the knowledge you have to all your, current and former athletes, or I'm going to give you a scenario here. I am a new kid to the team, let's say a new boy to the team, or girl, whichever. And I have a little bit of talent. You see a little bit of potential there. I can run a little bit. What do you? Well, actually, you know what? Let me back that up. I'm gonna actually. I know what I was gonna ask you, but I kind of want to do something else first and ask you. I have, and we both have very similar coaching philosophies, I would think. And I think that we both, for years, you and I have bounced off different workouts and
ideas,
stuff and ideas off each other, and stuff that we've done or stuff that I haven't done that you've done, and I want to try it, and same vice versa and stuff like that, which I think has worked for the most part. But when you coach distance, what is the benchmark workout that you work toward? Let's say you have a good solid squad of, let's say you have a good solid girls. Let's say you're girls, you have really good girls 4x8 back in 2013 or 12.
Yeah, somewhere around it, either
12 or 13.
I know we had 2 years in a row they were running really well.
So which year was better, the first or the second?
I think the first year. So I think the first year they got the record. The second year they broke 10 minutes again, which was really huge. I think the second year they broke the former record. So like my girls went 9:55. And I think the previous record was like 9:58.
Okay.
So maybe the second year girls, they ran 9:57 or maybe 9:59, but
so they re-broke the original record.
They might have, yeah. Okay. I don't remember exact, but
all right. So then either way, it's pretty close call then. I would say, all right. So then your 4x8 girls, your middle distance girls, what was the key workout that you did to get them where they were? Like what was the big thing with them that really had them click?
So I'm thinking of one I remember doing back then a lot. And this is kind of like quarter miler, half miler workout.
By the way, you should copyright this so no one takes it except for me, of course.
So the Chris Mamone workout, you would do 6 times 50 seconds all out. And at the end of 50 seconds, I'd have a stopwatch. I'd blow a whistle. You'd stop running and then walk back to the start line. But wherever you stopped, you would look down at the spot and think, okay, yo, you know where I'm going.
I love those workouts. Yes. I love those.
So you look down and say, okay, here's where I finished. That's where you have to make it back to. No one ever does. Because you're running 50 seconds all out as hard as you can. And now you have to do it again. Where it's like, and the biggest part, and this is why it's almost more perfect for an 800 runner, it's because it's the mind games of it. You're running as hard as you can, but you can't get back to that spot. No matter how hard you're doing, you can't make it back because your legs are shot. You're already exhausted from the previous 2 or 3, but you have to keep on going. You have, 2 to go, 1 more to go, and it's the toughest thing to get back there. But I feel that's like, that's what 800-meter runners endure. It's that long sprint of, hey, I'm just going to start kicking for a while, and even if I don't make it, I just got to keep on running. Just get there as soon as I can, and you try to go from there. And that was one work I remember doing a lot. I feel that's those seasons, because we had I want to say 7 girls on a 240, like around that year or the next year, which was huge. I remember, okay, my first year coaching there, the best relay, and not because we were kind of like trying to just get anyone on the relay, basically. It wasn't like we even had 4 distance runners, but it was like, hey, take 2 distance runners, the hurdler, and then the girl that race walks or the girl that shot puts, where it's like, just want to get a relay. I want to say they were like running just under 13 minutes. And then little by little, we had a good group of girls that came out. They were all young too, like sophomores or so. They were putting in the work. They were training. They were running fast. And then little by little, it was almost like the big group thing that we talked about before. These 2 girls are doing this. Well, these 2 come on only for winter and spring because they do soccer. They want to be part of this. Well, now a new girl comes out in spring that did basketball in the winter. She wants to be part of it. Well, we now have 7 or 8 girls where now I have to make a relay team. It's not like, hey, which 4 girls want to run it? It's like, oh, wow. Well, you're 227, you're 228, you're 229, you're 226. Oh, wow. Okay. Hey, you run 231, you don't make the team.
Right. But then you have a girl that's like 233 is like right there. Is like, well, then I just got to work harder.
What that was exactly it.
That's what that the coach dreams of situations like that.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, sometimes it can be a pain in the butt, but it's like, you want to keep your spot, you have to earn that spot,
Yeah.
and there's four other girls behind you that want that spot just as bad as you do,
Yeah.
who wants it more now, and
Well,
I love that. Oh God, that
yes.
is definitely that is definitely up there with probably my top three workouts I love.
Nice.
I've done variations. I'm sure you have too of different
Mm-hmm.
ones. So I think we did one where we started off at 60 seconds,
Okay.
come back, then we went to 55 seconds, and just to see how close you can get. And
Okay.
just the idea of shorter intervals to see how much harder you can sustain
I like that.
shorter stuff to kind of get there. And I think we would start at like 60 and end at like 40.
Okay.
Just something there. And obviously, and even for sprinters, you could do the same type of thing with a couple
Yeah.
different variations. But that is definitely, that is truly one of I think my favorite coaching
Mm-hmm.
workouts ever. And you're right, you've seen success with it.
Yeah.
And again, we talked about this, like that year, we both had just we both had great 4x8s. And, you know, fortunately for you, you ended up topping us at the end of the season there, which was, awesome to watch because of the drive your girls heard and
Mm-hmm.
wanted to.
From what you girls did. What your girls did.
But overall, it came down to that really cool rivalry we used to have
Yeah.
in an inter-district rivalry there, when I know all these girls were friends with each other, which was even
Yeah.
great. But it made it so much more fun for us that
Definitely.
those girls wanted this, but they wanted it. It's like, no, I think we can get you. And, you know what? And there was not one moment where I didn't think that, you were ever out of it ever. And I knew that our girls needed to work to prevent that from happening, but they both ran well,
Mm-hmm.
but you guys just ran better at the end of the season there, you know. But
Now one race at all.
that was really just that was such a cool race to watch.
Yeah.
Again, as a coach, even though we didn't win that, and I mean, I know you didn't. Obviously, both of us lost
We
and
were.
didn't go to states,
Yeah.
but it was just such a cool thing to watch because you watched 8 girls, our girls, just put it all out there, and you girls running. You ran the school
Huh.
record that day, right?
Yeah, that was a
You
school
ran it
record.
that day.
So that was at state quals because at counties, 2 or 3 of the girls had like soccer or some awards night or something like that, which it happens, but it was just really horrible timing where we only had 3 girls that were even there to possibly run the relay. And my one girl was super annoyed because she was watching it all.
I know. I was gonna say, like,
Yeah,
you're sitting there watching, like, because it was
Yeah.
only us and Garden City,
Yep.
and
I'll
then
say
there
you
wasn't
beat
even
Garden City. No
any
one
other
else.
teams in the race at that
No one
point.
near you guys. Yeah.
And it was just like, and then I'm sure they were just sitting there watching, like, I've raced her before, I can do that, and like,
Yeah.
but I thought it was one of the coolest things. I don't know if you remember, but it was one of the coolest things that actually that day was very emotional. Period. Like, just like I just watching the girls like get teary eyed and after winning. Your couple of your girls who did stay came up to my girls and gave them hugs and congratulated them. It was like so cool to watch because
Mm-hmm.
it just, not that it infuriated them, but it just pushed them like, all right, we got state Qs next week. We'll have those two back. Let's make this a race. Like,
Yeah.
let's make this another good race next week. And I thought that was one of the coolest things to watch another team just come run over and just congratulate them and literally just say, we're going to come after you. Like,
Yeah.
friendly, like we're going to be there next time. And I was
Enjoy
happy to see
tonight.
that. Yeah, enjoy tonight
Yeah.
because you're not going to get it next time.
Yeah.
But that's what I love that as a coach. I think that's pretty cool. And
Definitely.
that's another, again, a big kudos to you to have a program, a culture like that, to really like put out there, like not to be bitter, but to really have that drive to get back out there and get better. And to show respect for those teams.
Yeah. And I think for 2 things with that. One, your girls beat Garden City, who was, I don't know, just destroying everyone for like years. So I think it was kind of like, hey, you girls beat them, but we're the same district. So it's kind of like we all beat them. You know, like it was kind of like that big team part where we might not be specifically on your team, but hey, we know someone very well that beat them. that's awesome. Like that's really cool.
Yeah, and I
And
think that's
then
why, like, you're right, because I guess you can look at like they were the villains of
yeah,
track because they were always winning. They're always
yeah,
good. And listen, nothing taking away from them.
no,
They had a great program with a lot of
yep,
talented athletes on there, and they would win all the time. I get it. Listen, we were second that year, and we got a plaque, but we were 75 points away from them. Like
yeah,
we were so far back from them. It was insane. But they were the team to beat, and it was honestly at that point, I think it was just the right race plan at the right time
yeah.
that it just happened to work. But it was, you look back now, it's like, well, if Belmar JFK was in there, how would that have race finished? I
Hmm.
could see it coming down to 50 meters and all three
Yeah,
just gunning and just
definitely.
pushing at their absolute limit. And that would have, and again, win or lose, would have been really cool to
Yeah,
watch, because what happens if it was JFK Mepham Garden City or Mepham JFK Garden City, like
I
even
think
Garden City winning, but Belmore Merrick combining to finish what I think
second
we
and
only
third.
beat them by about 2 or 3 tenths of a second in the race.
Really?
We didn't beat them by much. We
Oh,
won at the line.
wow. I thought it was
We
at
won by
least
a
like a few
lean.
seconds.
I think it was like
Wow.
we ran like 9:59.7 and they ran like 10 flat 02.
Wow.
Like it was so
I forgot it
close.
was that close.
It was. It could we They had their monster anchor leg, and
Yeah,
we had our, our girl who was, well, they were both fresh, but yeah, we didn't win by
crazy.
much. It like it that's just what made it so cool. So to have you guys in there would have just been like, it probably would have been one of the more epic Section 8 girls 4x8 races
Oh
anyone's
yeah.
seen, especially three teams trying to dip under 10,
At a county meet,
at a
and
county
not to
at
take
a
away
county
from a county
championship.
meet,
Right.
but at a state quals, okay, there's a bunch of bigger schools there. That's all everyone is doing. This
Right.
is like no, everyone on that team ran ran one or two other events that day. This is their last event, and you have three teams breaking 10. Wow, that girl's in the steeple. She did the 3K. Oh, she's on another relay. She did this. Wow, okay. They're doing that. It's not like all three teams saved up just for this.
Right.
And I wanted to get back to what you were saying before, like my girls congratulating your girls. And I think a big part with track and field and even cross country, I feel at least you can never really be bitter when someone beats you, because it's okay. We do go like head to head against other people, but it's not like, wow, like you physically beat me up or like kick me around. It's like, no, you're actually just in better shape. Like it's not a knock against you, which I always look at, okay, these four guys beat me today. I need to work harder now. If I want to beat them, I got to put in more work. I got to start running faster. Like that's how I always kind of looked at it. It's not a knock. It's just, okay, they were better today.
Yep.
Tomorrow, next week, if we meet again, could be completely different.
Anyone can beat anybody on any given day. That's just the
Yep.
way the sport works. It really, like that and that those though that time really defines that, because
Yeah,
you can have a fan favorite, you can have someone that's been so dominant, and you can lose, and then
definitely.
we became that dominant team for a week, and then we lost. Like you can never know. We got outworked. That's
Hmm.
just how it came. We got outworked. Your game plan was better. The girls ran
But
beautifully. They ran
yeah,
beautifully to what you told them to do. Like, what more could you ask for?
a lot of that does come down to that day and all four being on and ready to
Oh
go.
yeah,
And that's what's so tricky with relays, where you could have your first two legs go out and run really well, your third runs horrible, and then the anchor, even if she runs a 220, it's like, hey, we're already out of the race. We finished up running 10:10, even through a 220, because the girl, whatever, her shoe came off, ran 2:45. Okay, that kind of shot the whole race now. Okay,
so kind
you
of
know.
going along with this,
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking about, and I see it in you, and I'm like, I'm getting a little jittery about it, because it's just cool to think back at times like that, and like just cool situations and events that we've been like through, and we both seen each other go through from all this time. If you were to pick one memory, one that really stands out, that really like made you proud as a coach, what would that be? And don't
I
start
have
talking about like 5 or 6 of them, and then not tell me what the one's your favorite.
no. So the one that I have one that came to my mind right away. So
Okay.
yeah. So this might be it. If not, like it's got to be top
May
three.
damn well be it.
Okay. It's when I had the two girls break 5 in the 15 at Massapequa, the under the lights.
Hmm.
So it was Sarah and Madison. Sarah broke 5 the year before, and I want to say she won it in like 4:53, 4:54, and Madison went like 4:58, let's say.
Damn.
And for me, it was so cool. For one, Sarah as a senior, she won the race. She had a new PR. Madison, it was her first time breaking 5, and they did it in the same race. So for me, I was like, your two teammates running super fast, breaking 5 together, like that's awesome. Like that to me was super, super cool.
I remember that. And I remember your girl Madison almost in tears and
Wait,
coming
before
over
the race?
no, well, after
Yeah.
no, right after and going over and giving you the biggest hug because she was
Yep.
so happy. And when you see that as a coach, and especially
Yeah.
like you see it, and you had two girls do it simultaneously like that, which is just,
Hmm.
that's so cool. That's so awesome for you to do. Like that's definitely a cool
It's
memory. But I remember being on the field, and I remember watching the race. I'm just like, holy crap, these girls are
yeah.
racing and putting everything out there and don't look like they're holding back whatsoever. And then
Hmm.
you watch Sarah win, which was awesome. And then you have another girl just
Yeah.
coming through and doing something that's pretty difficult to do.
Yeah.
And then just coming over to you and just showing all this emotion and thanking you. And like, as a coach, you're probably like, this is why I do this.
Yeah. 100%.
This is where the trust comes in. You believed in what I kept telling you and what we were doing, and you
Hmm.
executed it the way you were supposed to. Like what that's cool. That's
Yeah.
that's a pretty
And it
cool
was
memory.
like just such a cool thing because I feel like you knew Sarah was, obviously had the ability. She broke 5 a couple of times before, but it was kind of like the real test is, can Madison break it? Which I know she can. She's been very close before, but if she does in the sim race, like that's gonna be super cool. And at Massapequa, you know me, I'm running back and forth every like 200 meters, just yelling and screaming my head off. When like you're looking at the watch, Sarah's basically going to do it. So like you're just screaming all for Madison, hoping like she just goes hard that last 100 and just gets in. And it's like, oh my god, they're gonna do it. They're both gonna do it, and like just so super cool. And when going back to what you were even saying, like they both like they bought in, they understood it, they had the trust. Sarah, so they had a very similar high school credentials as far as time wise. Sarah was much better early on and then got better like each year, where Madison was really like not good at all. And like her and I would kid around about that. She was like a sprinter, not running much at all. And then one spring, I think that sophomore year, actually, yeah, like that year, she started doing the 800. First time out, let's say runs like 250, and she's like, "Oh, that's not too bad." And then little by little, she just run faster and faster. And that year, she broke 230 at counties right behind your girl.
Oh right, yeah,
And it
I
was
forgot.
like,
Yeah,
hold on, you had like a 236 PR coming in and knocked off like 7 seconds. Like, how are you not
she was right
freaking
on.
out?
What she run? I
Yeah,
thought she ran like 225 or 220.
it might have
Was
been
somewhere in
even.
there, right?
Yeah, it
Because
was
she
some
just
like
missed
huge.
all county.
Yeah, by
That's
like a
crazy.
tenth of a second after your girl.
That's
But
crazy to
it,
start your
yeah,
season like that and then end it like just off the cusp of an all county.
yeah,
That's wild.
yeah.
That's wild. That's
So,
cool.
and that's why, like, it was so cool. They were both so different, but looking like on paper, so similar. Like they ended up running around the same 15 and 800 times, very similar cross country steeple. I think Madison might have the school record now. I gotta double check that.
She run like
But
730 something or
seven, like
727.
I think even in the teens. I
Oh,
want to say like
oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right.
719.
Yeah,
And
because she
then
went to nationals, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. We went to nationals, and that was an awesome trip. She even said after, she's like, I didn't run well, but it was so cool to be there, and it was awesome
Awesome.
going down with her too. Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah. So definitely a lot of fun.
Well, I'm sure there's a ton of memories that really you can talk about, but like that one's probably you would say that's your favorite one, the
That's
most
the
memorable
first.
one.
Yeah, it's the first one that comes to my mind. And I think because it is more of like it's more of that team where yes, it's only two girls, but it's like those two just stand out so much. Where it's like that one race, and yes, when they broke 10 at state quals, that's definitely a huge standout. But I just feel like I think because it's under the lights, like it's dark out, but it's warm enough. Like it's such a cool atmosphere. They got the music pumping, it's the whole thing. It's the whole show.
Right. You're right. And that's why there's always a ton of people there because a lot of
Yes.
them are, and it's not one of those races where you're like going to the bathroom or just going to eat and just going to hang out and goofing around with your pals or anything, your teammates. Like people are stopping what they're doing. Every event stops what they're doing.
Yeah.
They crowd the fence and they just watch as it unfolds. And you just
Mm-hmm.
watch and to have two of them in a race like that and do really well is just something not a lot of coaches can really talk about or say.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I'm kind of going to follow up with one more question for you.
Okay.
All right. Because we are, I think we're over our limit at this point.
Yeah,
But
we've been over
who
the
cares
limit.
anymore?
That's all
Seriously,
right.
doesn't matter anymore. Um, is there anything back in your running career or coaching career, either one? Is there something that you would have done different that you would think about that really stands out? There's something that you, if you can go back, would have done this differently.
I feel as for me as an athlete, for me, I always go back to that junior year. Um, it just wasn't going well, and I think like me present day, see myself that many years ago, almost been like, listen, just chill out, like straight up, like just relax. Like the times will come, but you're training too hard on the off days when you're supposed to be going easy. You're going every so at the armory, you come on the last turn. I would see the clock turn or click off at 4:30. I knew I wasn't breaking 4:30. Yeah, I was giving up because I'm like the whole goal is break 4:30. It says 4:30 and I'm still 7 seconds away. Wow, this sucks. Another race goes down again. So I think just be able to tell myself really like just relax. Like the times will come. Be confident. Have faith in yourself. Just keep work on the days you're supposed to work. I was overworking myself, doing too much when I shouldn't have been.
Right.
And I think really just to like take that step back and be like, okay, I know I can do this. I'm overthinking. I'm thinking of all these different things and I'm worried and I'm stressing out. Just like, hey, just relax. And I think it's such crazy and basic advice, but once you actually understand it, it makes the biggest difference. Where
Um,
it's like, okay,
do you have one about coaching?
something to change about coaching.
Like something back, somewhere back in the past where if you can go back and change something, you could have done this differently.
I do remember for certain, I think like county meets, I forgot to put kids in events, and this was when like you had to enter 3 days before, and I spoke to the girl flat out. I'm like, listen, like I am so unbelievably sorry, like I feel horrible, but I forgot to put you in your event. And she's like, oh, that's okay. I'm like, no, it's really not. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, it absolutely kills me right now to talk to you about this, but I have to tell you like face to face in person. I'm not texting you. It's not going to another coach. Like, I did this. I messed up, and it sucks. No, no, it's okay. Like, no, like you could curse me out right now. Like, it's okay. Like, I feel absolutely horrible, and I'm just so sorry. Like, I'm not doing this for any specific reason. I just completely forgot to. I'm sorry. And I think that's the worst part because once like that's in, you can't
Yeah,
call someone, you can't change it. It's like, no, you messed up and that's it.
we've all been there.
Yeah.
We've all done that at some point in our careers. Obviously, honestly, I think if we, as coaches, if we haven't done it, then eventually it's going to come. Like
Yeah.
it's inevitable. But yeah, it's that one definitely will eat away at you. It's like
Yeah.
even if the athlete's cool about it, it's like it just eats away at you because you
Yeah.
know that you didn't do what you were supposed to do, and it's like that's not what I usually. That's not what I do.
Yeah.
And but it happens.
It
It
does.
sucks.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because like you said, they put their trust and faith in us to make sure just something like that. Hey, you just enter them into a county meet. Okay. Sounds easy. And like I said, for whatever reason, just forgot to. It's like that's not my intention. You should have been in there. I just forgot to do it. And for me, even as a person, when someone says I forgot to do it, I don't like appreciate the excuse. Like, what do you mean you forgot to? This is what you're supposed, like, this is your job. What do you mean you forgot to? Like, I'd be super annoyed. And on the other side, like it's so tough because hey, I messed up, and I think a
Right.
lot of that, she realized how hurt I was with it, and I don't want to say like she felt better about it, but it was kind of, I guess, a little easier.
Right.
I wasn't making up excuses. Oh well, they closed it earlier, or they didn't let me enter you. No, like I'm at that time, like I'm just very much flat open, honest. Like here's what happened. Sorry.
Yeah, that'll stay with you for a while.
Yeah. Thanks for ending on that one.
You're welcome.
Jerk.
Hey, listen, it's part of life. It's part of coaching. We make mistakes and you kind of own up to it and then you move on. So
Very
we're
true.
moving on from that and we're going to conclude this.
We're moving on to the next episode
Yes.
at another time.
Yes. But that was awesome. It's always good to talk about stuff like this with each other because we both have been through it for this long. And, fortunately for us, we both have pretty much have seen each other at every single meet in the last 15 years. Like no matter where we transfer, I transferred to another school. I'm like, I'm back with Belmore JFK anyway. So it doesn't matter, but it's really cool to kind of pick your brain about certain things. Even though we talked about these things, it's still really cool to talk about and never, ever gets old. And I think in a way, it shows how passionate we are as coaches and former athletes that we still love what we do and we could talk about the same things over and over again and still enjoy hearing it because it's just what we love doing. So, I mean, I thought this would be a nice little turnaround because like I said, you have a much different resume than I do. And I think yours is just way more interesting in a way of an athlete that's competed and succeeded on high levels and also coached at high levels and has so many good athletes come out of your program that, it only made sense to do something like this. So I thank you as obviously the co-host of this show to be guest as well and really kind of get in depth with a lot of these questions and conversations. So it's always fun doing this and we can probably do this for another 2 or 3 hours, but It is a work night. We do have work tomorrow.
It is a Wednesday.
So it is a Wednesday. So I wanted to thank you. And
you're very welcome.
Just let everybody know again to comment, like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your pets, tell your parents,
tell your enemies.
Tell your enemies, follow us, make us famous. And I had fun.
I did too. Can I propose something right here though? Can we end it how we started?
How's that?
I just want to thank everyone for tuning in and listening to our YouTube video of Headlocks and Handoffs, the sweet sounds of Saravetti and MOMO. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You take care, everybody. You have yourself a good night. Safe drive home, everybody.